Hey guys, this is your boy Loy Meets World, and today I've got an exciting video for you. I've actually got some speculations on a game which is going to be coming out later this year. It is called Project L. It is Riot Games 2D fighting game. I'm super excited for this. Why I'm excited about this is because it's based off a game that was called Rising Thunder. Now the premise behind Rising Thunder was that we were gonna try and make a game that's more friendly to beginners, as in you're not gonna have to cram combos and these complex strings that you need to learn based off your like muscle memory, right? It's more about how well you can mechanically and intellectually outplay your opponent in a 2D fighter space. So I think Riot, I mean, if you judge League of Legends for what it is, like, its mechanics are pretty simple when compared to other games. So a company like Riot taking over Radiant Entertainment, the company that was running Rising Thunder, to now take over and create Project L based off that company, I think this game is going to be a smash. Without further ado, let's go over the character speculations. Who are we going to be seeing? Which characters are important? Which characters will not pop up? Which characters are going to be in Project L? We already know, based off some press information that Riot Games released about a year ago, we already know we've got 4 confirmed characters, so we're just going to drag them in. We've got Ori confirmed, we've got Jinx confirmed, Katarina, and Darius. These 4 characters are 100% going to be in the game. It's going to be pretty epic. I'm most excited for Katarina. I think her gameplay is going to be really sick. Just her ability to teleport around has me really excited. The other three, looked pretty cool too. Alright, just off this list of initial characters that we've got Ori, Jinx, Katarina, and Darius. Katarina and Darius are 2 characters which have a lot of interaction with another character named Garen. So Garen is Demasia's poster boy. We've already seen some like experimentation in the game where they were using Garen's icons. I wonder if I'm going to be able to find that footage for you to show you, but they have hinted that Garen will be there. So in our almost 100% certainty, we are going to put Garen here. He is probably going to be in it. He's got interaction lines with both Katarina and Darius. He just makes sense. He's the best character to put in. Another character who I'm almost sure about, I even have an idea of his gameplay, is Yasuo. They love Yasuo at Riot Games. There's no way he's out of Project L. He's got some really cool ways to interact with his sword, you know, creating projectiles. I think he's gonna have some interesting like rush down game, but also like mid-screen control, just using his wind blade, his Hasaki. Alright, cool. Next character who I think is almost 100% include is Zed. Zed is like, he's become almost like a main villain. The music's a little bit too loud. Let me just kill it a bit. Alright, cool. So Zed has become like the main villain of Runeterra in a way. He's got his army of evil, I'm not sure if they're part of the King Ku or the King Ku rebels. I don't know what they're called, but he's got his army of evil dudes in the lore, and he just fits in a fighting game really well. He's got his shurikens as projectiles, he's got dashes to cover both sides of the screen. He works 100% with what I think they're going to be trying to do with Project L. He's got some pretty cool ways that he can finish up an opponent. I think if you make Zed run like Noob Saibot, like a combo of Noob Saibot and Smoke from Mortal Kombat, he will be so killer. Like, it would be really dope to see him in the game. Alright, cool. Our next almost 100% certainly going to be in the game is I had this in mind. It's Lucian. Okay, now you've got to hear me on the Lucian thing, right? The Lucian thing is a little controversial, but they just need a black character. It's just the way things are done, right? So either Lucian, Senna, or Echo is going to be in the game, if not all 3. I would lean to at least 2 of them being in it, but I think all 3 of them will make the cut. I'll make my arguments for Senna and Echo a bit later. But Lucian, just his mechanics, the way he's going to be able to dash around, I think having a ranged character in Project L would be really interesting. He's a character who's seen a lot of love from the cinematics recently, and I think they're going to want to keep him there. He's one of the poster boys. He's in Legends of Runeterra. He makes a lot of sense with whatever the theme for Project L is. I think going to be based off the other characters. I mean, if we've got a character like Jinx, he fits in the cast really well. I think seeing him dash around with his relentless pursuit is going to be epic. Lucian is going to be in it. I'm almost 100% sure on Garen, Lucian, Zed, and Yasuo. Okay. There is another almost 100%, and that is Lee Sin. I'm just looking. Okay, cool. There we go. So Lee Sin is a character who not only revolutionized, he like revolutionized the gameplay of League of Legends itself. Before Lee Sin, I don't think there was a lot of characters with very high skill caps. Like, his skill cap is ridiculous. Even up until last year, people are still finding new mechanics on Lee Sin. He's just a really great and well-designed character. I mean, it started with the insect play, right? That play where you dash with you ward jump behind your opponent, and then you kick them into your team. And ever since then, we've just seen a bunch of new developments like flash kicks and all of this amazing stuff. I think it would be an insult to not have Lee Sin in, especially when he's got so many ways to make his kit work in the game. He's also a Bruce Lee clone, much like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat or Martial Law from Tekken. Lee Sin, yeah, I'm rooting for Lee Sin. I'm positive that they're gonna put him in the game. He's like the quintessential fighting game person to have in a game. And I think that's it for the characters who I have at the you are 100% going to be in this game. So if we look at our characters right now, we've got a cast of 9 characters. We've got Ori, we've got Garen, we've got Jinx, Yasuo, Zed, Katarina, Darius, Lucian, and Lee Sin. I'm thinking they're going to have the cast closer to around 20 to 23 characters, just judging by the fact that they were willing to show us 4 of those characters off the bat. I will discuss more in depth which characters I feel should make the cut versus which ones are more likely to be in the cut. But now let's move on to the very likely category. I don't want to put any other characters in the almost 100% because I don't feel a lot of them have as much certainty as these guys. These guys are in. In our very likely section, right? We are going to put Vi first. Now, why we're putting Vi in our very likely section, which is just under almost 100%. I'd put her at like a 70% of showing up, is because of Jinx. Jinx's inclusion in the game does hint at a Vi coming into the game. And she also fills in the grappler archetype. We're gonna need grapplers in this game. She's got like a heavy punch down style of play, like a very hard hitting, slow kind of gameplay where she can control people with grapples and big punches. Vi makes a lot of sense in this game. You know, we need a female grappler who's gonna be in it, like as an archetype. The next character who I think has a very strong chance of showing up in this game, there's 2 characters actually, and I want to put them next to each other. So we're going to get Riven, and I'm going to find Aurelia for you guys. Aurelia, oh man, I should have sorted these dudes better. Okay, let's see if we can find her. Okay, there you are. Alright, cool. So Riven and Aurelia have this really cool rush down style where they can kind of control mid-range. So they can control like just outside of footsie range very well. That's the way I'd imagine these 2 characters using something like their shards, because they both have like these shards which go around them. It would be very interesting to have them have that kind of gameplay where they can rush you down and they have good like mid-screen control, and if you don't want to fight them, and you trying to zone them from far screen, they've got a long screen finisher. Aurelia's could be like a blade surge, dash into you. Riven, of course, has her Blade of the Exile swing where she swings it and it like just does this like really cool energy effect. Yeah, energy effect across the screen. I think Riven and Aurelia have very strong chances, but with that said, I think we only see one of them. I don't think we're gonna see both characters at once for a while. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about that, because it would be dope to have both Riven and Aurelia in the game. They are classics in my opinion, and they both deserve to be in the list. Another character with a very high chance. I didn't think it at first, but since his inclusion into the Rune King, I think Pyke actually has a good shot of making it into the Project L game. Pyke, I think his gameplay, I don't really have a very strong concept for what Pyke would be doing, but just he's got the blade, he's got the pull effect, kind of like a scorpion kind of pull, like a get over here, and he does have some weird tricks. I don't know how they'd incorporate his ability to kind of go stealth invisible, but I'm sure there'd be a way to find how that mechanic fits in Project L. I'd put him at a very likely pick just because he made it into the cast of the Rune King. Another character who also is going to fill the second slot of our female grapplers, who I think makes it in just because of Rune King, is Ilaoi. Ilaoi was on the side with Aurelia. Ilaoi, female grappler. She also, like Riven and Aurelia, we might only see one Vi or one Ilaoi at a time, but the female grappler archetype is definitely gonna go to one of these two. Another character who's kind of newer to the cast, but I think is gonna be in it because we need now male grapplers, and this dude is a grappler. I'm not sure if you've seen his ult or not, but Set's ult is literally a fighting game move. So I think we see Set 100 out of 100% of the time. I don't even have too many doubts about Set being in Project L. I can put him at almost 100%. He's just a really popular character because he's got that, you know, that JoJo's Bizarre Adventures look. He's got the body slam. He's played a lot. He's got a lot of ways to impact in a 2D fighter, like to translate his moves over. I see him working. Right, cool. Let's go over another character who I think is very likely. You've got to think in terms of Riot, what they are going to be trying to do, right? They're going to be trying to put in as diverse of a cast as possible. So they want Vestians, like the Ori kind of characters. These are the characters which are semi-human and semi-animal kind of creatures. They're gonna want things from Piltover, Ionia, Demacia, Freljord. They're gonna want all of their regions in the game for sure. And then they're gonna want beast characters like Cho'Gath. Warwick is one. He's the one I'm putting in right now. Warwick is gonna fit. And then they're gonna want cultural diversity in terms of, this is an Asian character, this is representing Asians, this is a black character representing black people, this person, we don't really know what race they are. And then we've got, of course, Caucasian characters also being represented as well. The company is going to be looking at all of these things for sure when choosing their cast of characters for Project L. So Warwick just makes sense in terms of the fact that he's a beast and he's got some pretty cool abilities. I see him working kind of like a Blanca, you know, a character that's going to rush at you, hold you down, and cause you a lot of trouble on the screen if you don't know how to deal with him. Like a Blanca and a Vega from Street Fighter. Those two characters together would be really cool for Warwick. The next character that I'd put at almost 100. Wow, there's such a large cast of characters, guys. It's really hard to make such big speculations here on everything. But I am just trying to keep focused. If we're going to have Zed in the game, right? The next character who I think has a good chance, who's very likely, I put Zed at 100%. So based off that Zed assertion, I think we see a Shen or an Akali just to fill the opposition role. Don't forget, the characters are gonna need to be interacting with each other and saying a lot of voice lines to each other and yada yada, right? So Shen is a good fit. I would like to see Akali, but she kind of does fill that same Riven Aurelia role. I think it might make her... No, actually, I'm wrong about that. Akali can actually play like... she can play a bit more like an Ibuki from Street Fighter, right? Whereas these would have a different game style. Ibuki is more close combat. She's in your face all the time, and Akali could be doing that just with her blades, and her shurikens could just be her only long screen ability. I think Akali and Shen actually have a good chance to be in it against Zed, to apply that opposition, and then that would make how many Ionian characters? That would make Aurelia, that would put Zed, Lee Sin, Shen, Akali, Set, Ori. It's quite a few, Yasuo as well, quite a few Ionian characters, but they seem to be necessary. I think they're really good fits in the game and the cast we have so far. Alright, another very likely character, another one from Ionia, is Wukong. Same reason that we just need the identification, like Warwick. We need more beast-like characters, more Vestians to round up the cast, but Wukong is just an actual great fit. Wukong is an actual great fit, and I'm actually passionate about Wukong being in Project L. I'll be very excited. He's not even a character I play at all in League, but he just has the vibes of a fighting game. He would be like filling that Goku role, you know, that Monkey King role. That's an archetype. There's a lot of games with like the Monkey King. He is the Goku of this. You know, or at least they based off the same character. I wouldn't call him like a main character like Goku. And we haven't seen a lot of Wukong anywhere else, right? It would be the perfect place to give Wukong a platform in Project L. I think we see him. Oh yes, another character who we can add to almost 100% is Teemo. We will be seeing Teemo in some form, whether he's playable or whether he's a joke character or whether he has a background or a stage like a shroom stage or whatever. Teemo will definitely be in Project L in some way or some form. I'm not saying he'll be playable, but he will make an appearance. He's a mascot. He's Riot's mascot. He needs to be in the game. Alright, cool. So that's another character to our almost 100%. So what's our cost looking like? We've got 10 here, 13, 16, we've got 20 already. Wow. Okay, we're making some good progress. The next character who I think is very likely that we see is actually Kassadin, like the main character representing the Void. Kassadin has a cool design in League of Legends. I think he'll translate really well over into Project L as well. Just him having the blade, him teleporting around the screen. Don't forget, a lot of the characters are gameplay dependent. That's why our next category is going to be gameplay dependent. But I'm talking about characters who we're more likely to see just based off region diversity and just based off how these characters would actually work in a fighting game, like how they fit in, you know. We're definitely gonna need characters like Yordle, characters like Poppy and whatnot, Rengar, Kha'Zix. I think we can just add in Rengar and Kha'Zix just as very likelies. Rengar, Kha'Zix, we can put Rengar and Kha'Zix just in the very likely scale, and then at the end I will put the final roster that I think is going to be in it in our almost 100%. I'll move everyone up a level and I'll conclude the video that way. I think that will work better. Okay, so we've got Rengar and Kha'Zix here. Rengar and Kha'Zix, if one of them's in the game, I expect the other one, because they are kind of arch enemies. I don't know whether that lore has changed or not, because Rengar's in Ixtal, yeah. He's based in Ixtal. I think he's Vestayan as well. And then, of course, Kha'Zix is from the Void. He's a Void creature, and the old lore, they were like arch enemies. They like hunted each other. Not sure how it works anymore, but I expect to see one of them, and if we see one of them, we're seeing the other of them. So this duo will probably be in Project L. I'd rate them higher than seeing Wukong, but Wukong would just be a nicer fit. I do think he's still likely. Kassadin's still likely. The initial characters that I listed, these ones, maybe excluding Pyke, these 6, so Vi, Riven, Aurelia, Alawi, Set, and Warwick are my strongest feelings outside of the almost 100%. The last character that I'll add into the very likely region, just based off, there's actually 2 characters. Based off the fact that we need mages and we need control characters, and I think we've got one who can summon, and my character that's gonna summon is Annie. Yo, Annie's gonna be like really clutch in Project L. She's gonna be really interesting to see, especially if she can summon Tibbers onto the 2D space, and then you kind of have to deal with her zoning you with Tibbers and her abilities, and maybe there's some consequence to her losing Tibbers. Like once she loses it, she gets significantly weaker, but it's like her second health bar essentially. I think just from a gameplay perspective, like interesting gameplay, I think she's very likely to make it on that. And then because she's a poster girl, wow, there's actually a lot of characters. When I say poster girl, I thought of another character who we can add here. Because she's a poster girl for the series, I think Lux makes it on that. She'll have very strong screen control, a zoning character. She'll throw projectiles, root you. It will be very oppressive to play against Lux, but I think she's gonna make it based off that. Another character who's gonna have a lot of good screen control and zoning game is gonna be Misfortune. And that's it for our zoning. That's it for our characters who I think are going to be very, very likely put into Project L. I think there's characters now who I think are gameplay dependent. So these are going to be the characters who make it into the game based off how the game is more structured, and I'm kind of going to order them in the most likely that I think are going to be showing up. And this gameplay dependent section is going to be characters who are very likely to make it, but the gameplay will decide whether they do or do not, right? So these are the cast of characters who should probably be a good fit in a fighting game, just depending on how Riot handles everything. First one is Sivir, spell shields, zone control. She's gonna fight you from a long space. We've got Senna as well. Senna, just because of her interactions with Lucian, she's also got a nice long screen game. She can be a very interesting zoning character. She could switch up with a pistol, and her big weapon can be for her ultimates, like her finishing move. Echo, like I said before, Echo I'm actually going to put in very likely. The only reason I don't see Echo working and being 100% confirmed into Project L is that Echo's ultimate, right? Echo's ultimate, it can be a very cool thing to see in a fighting game, just the character being able to draw back time and get his health back. But with that same breath, right, that mechanic has to be balanced. I think what they're doing is, instead of his ultimate giving you maybe health back, maybe it can reposition you in a way that's very interesting to beat your opponent. I'm not sure how crazy they're gonna go with the gameplay. That's why Echo would be in the middle of these two tiers. Let me put him here. He's like leaning on the edge of gameplay dependent and very likely to make it into the cast. Echo's just a good fit in a fighting game. He's got that baton, a lot of his moves, he's got dashes and stuff. We are looking more on the assassin bruiser side of characters for our picks for this. A few mages. Ori is the proof, right? Ori is the proof that we're going to have mages in this game. We've got ADCs like Jinx. You know, they are showing us. That's why they showed us these specific characters. They're telling us that we're going to have every archetype. But in those archetypes, I think some are more likely than others. Alright guys, and I'm back from the time lapse. Wow, I've spent a lot of time just collecting all of my thoughts for all of these characters. Alright, so in our confirmed section we have Ori, Jinx, Katarina and Darius. In the almost 100% I did make a few additions. I added Ezreal, he's the poster boy. He's Piltover's poster boy. I added Blitzcrank, just because I think Blitzcrank would be a really nice addition into the game, and I think they haven't featured him in a lot of stuff, but his robotic feel and his size goes really well with the theme. I think as a male grappler he works pretty well. Braum, for a lot of the same reasons, but Braum we've seen in the Rune King. We've seen that Riot has a love for this character now. They want to put him in more products. He seems to be very popular at Riot, so I think almost 100% for Braum. A lot of the characters that I've added to the almost 100% section, since I've added Jax and, you know, Ashe and Olaf, a lot of these characters that I've put here in this very likely section are just characters in the cast who I think would do well in Project L. But I'll show you now the characters who I think are going to be our main roster. We're going to move them up to our almost 100% section. And then gameplay dependent, some of the characters from gameplay dependent are going to be going to that almost 100% section, and I'm going to change the names. The gameplay dependent section should actually probably be called just likely, right? So instead of very likely, it's just characters which we will probably see some of them in this list, although it's very hard to predict, whereas these ones are easier to predict just because they are automatic good picks for the game. Okay, and then in the most controversial section I think that I've made is the not this game section, right? I opted not to put Viego the Rune King in there because he could make it in a future expansion. He could even be there on release, but because he's such a new character, it's very it's unlikely, right? The development cycle started a good 3 years ago, so you know he would have had to be in the pipeline for a while for him to show up. Okay, so our characters who I don't think are going to be in this game are Corki, Karthus, Sona, Aurelion Sol, Zillion, Yumi, and Amumu. I just think that their current gameplay in League of Legends doesn't translate well enough to justify putting them in Project L. Plus, they just not very... I don't want to say they're not captivating characters. They're very interesting characters. Like, you've got Aurelion Sol, you've got Sona, you've got whatnot. But I don't think there's a high enough demand for these characters where they have these cult followings which will be begging for them to be included into the game at any point. You could even argue Maokai is the same, but at least Maokai, you know, he's got some interesting stuff he can do with ground game, throwing up these saplings that you kind of have to dodge. Like mechanically, he'd be an interesting pick to put into the game because he's got like a bomb mechanic, and that would make some fights very interesting in the game. That's why Maokai fits in the unlikely section. Alright, cool. So this list will be up. Let's just save this list, and now we are going to just create a new save as, just a save as 2. Okay, cool. And now what we are going to do is we're going to get rid of this, and we are going to say our final prediction. Okay guys, and for our final prediction, all of these characters that were in the almost 100% are going to just stay there in the almost 100%. Final prediction, I think we see Riven over Aurelia, just based off her priority recently in cinematics and whatnot. Riven gets priority. I think we do end up seeing Aatrox in the game. Aatrox probably makes the cut as well. We get Vi. Vi is in. I'd put Echo in my final prediction for sure. Master Yi, Wukong to balance out Master Yi. Because Master Yi is in, we don't put in Jax. We've got Shen for Zed. Oh man, I should be putting these things here at the top just to make it neater. Sorry about that. Let's just put that there. Let's put that there. Okay, and then we are going to include who else do we think? I think, alright, so there are characters down here who I think have a chance of making it, just in my prediction on how they're going to make the game, right? So the next character I think comes here is Sivir, very important for Shurima. Azir, I think they find a way to put in Azir and Nessus, so that will be our three characters from Shurima, right? The representatives. I've got high hopes for Annie being in the game. I'm gonna put her in my final prediction. Okay, LeBlanc I think has a really nice fit in here. Kassadin as well. We put in Kha'Zix, Rengar, and then to close off our cast we gotta put in Set and Warwick. So yeah, that's my final prediction. My final prediction would be a cast of Ahri, Jinx, Katarina, Darius, Riven, Aatrox, Shen, Wukong, Master Yi, Echo, Sivir, Nasus, Karin, Yasuo, Zed, Lucian, Lee Sin, Teemo, Ezreal, Blitzcrank, Braum, Vi, Azir, Annie, LeBlanc, Kassadin, Rengar, Kha'Zix, Set, and finally Warwick to round up the cast. Mind you, a lot of characters are probably going to be in it which I haven't put in, and vice versa, right? This is just my prediction, and it's a little bit of a wish list. I won't lie, there's a wish list. I think that I've made a pretty balanced cast and a fair cast. There's obviously going to be a lot of variance, but I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been your boy Loiso the One. If you want a downloaded version, I'm going to upload these links in the description to the final the first roster kind of like likelihood of characters thing that I did. And then my final prediction as well is going to be also accessible via a download link. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is your boy Loiso the One signing out. I'm off. Peace.